got some storm clouds gathering. Looks like we might have a tempest coming. Interesting thing on Democracy Now! This morning was in the headlines. Oftentimes, the most interesting thing in the show is just a little thing that's dropped in the headlines. Then I'm like peeling my jaw off the floor like I was this morning. These were some things that Rumsfeld wrote on memos that he gave to Bush. You really got to hear this stuff. Rumsfeld covered briefing papers in biblical texts. GQ magazine has revealed former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld repeatedly placed biblical quotes on President Bush's top secret briefings during the early days of the invasion of Iraq. One briefing paper showed an image of a U.S. soldier in Baghdad below the biblical quote, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed." Another briefing included a photograph of a U.S. tank next to the quote, "Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand." A third briefing paper shows U.S. tanks entering an Iraqi city alongside the quote, "Open the gates that the righteous nation may enter, the nation that keeps faith." Some Pentagon officials were concerned that if Rumsfeld's top secret briefings were ever leaked, they could be interpreted as a suggestion that the war was a battle against Islam. One Pentagon official warned the fallout would be as bad as Abu Ghraib. Well, there you go. I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? Can I have a holy fucking shit from you people? Oh my God. I just... See, I can't even, I have to use biblical terminology to categorize my rage, horror, and disgust with this. It's funny, I've always noticed that I end up using religious terminology still just to convey the magnitude of something. It's mostly just kind of an adjective for me now. But all that aside, they think it might be a scandal? It might be interpreted as them trying to rub out Islam? You know, when coupled with the stuff that I talked about last week with, you know, the preacher who was talking about how they were hunting Muslims for God, and, you know, just the general reports that are coming out about the increased Christianization of our armed forces. You know, reasonable people out there need to be deeply concerned that they're being dragged into some sort of crusade, some sort of religious war. Might be interpreted as an attack on Islam. And do you think that when the people in the Bible were writing about the full armor of God, that they were talking about a Bradley fighting vehicle? Sometimes, you know, things like this just about leave me speechless. I just cannot believe that the people in charge of our country, the most powerful and therefore the most dangerous country on earth, actually think this way. I find it completely horrifying. You know, and even I think believers out there, is this really, really what you choose to take out of your Bible? Is this why you believe? I mean, I'm not a believer, but I think if I was a believer, like a normal, rational believer, I'd be pretty upset by this. I'd be upset that he would think to do this as a public official, realizing that even that he's, you know, something that he's trying to keep secret might eventually come out someday, or even somebody could see it. That he would not care. how it would look. I guess on a certain level, I'm kind of grateful that he was such a fucking idiot that he did this. So we know where he really stands and what this really was about to Don Rumsfeld. And I'm sure we know now why he was okay with torture. Because it really is a holy war. And they have chosen the wrong faith. And they are therefore not righteous. And we really can't do anything bad to them. I mean, what the heck, you know? So if we give them a few, punches on their way to hell, they're going to fry forever anyway. Who gives a fuck? So, Christians of good conscience, think about what people do in your name. And make sure that if you disagree with them, that they know. Please. The future of your faith depends on it. This is Zach Elliott, and you can feel free to argue.